This isn't your first go-round. Seeing the second, third, or even fourth round of some heavy rain and severe thunderstorm warnings coming on out. If you have the warnings up on your phone, I mean, it's probably just been going off. It's been hard to sleep tonight, so apologies on that. But there we go. Brand new tornado warning just popped up on this area. Gloucester Point, including it, White Marsh area along Route 17, and that is until 4 o'clock this morning. And that includes now the city of Newport News. You are under a tornado warning. So if you're tuned in right now and you're also in Gloucester, James City, Matthews, or York, once again, head back to that safe space. Turn your TV all the way up. We'll let you know when it passes on through. These are moving on through very, very fast. Evan, let's put a track on it there and where it's heading in the next half an hour or so. Obviously, Gloucester Point right in the center of this watch box, and that's going to be up for the next 45 minutes or so. Lee Hall along I-64 here, so Gloucester Point at 3:31, so you've got about 5-minute lead time for you there. Achilles at 3:34, and we're looking at Maris at 3:36 this morning in Lackey. Rochambeau Village, the closest, seeing some issues there as that moves on through. In terms of velocities, we're looking at this as wind speeds, and when we see winds in different directions close by, this would probably be the biggest area of concern right now. Not impressive in and of itself, but again, this is probably just the beginning stages of it. We saw this already happen 3 or 4 times already this morning when we get some minor indications, and then it really starts to blossom and tighten on up. Why is that happening? Well, we have a lot of strong winds out ahead of this line, and that's already introducing that spin to the atmosphere. So it's much easier for these storms to kind of consolidate the rotations, and already starting to see that early radar indicated upper atmosphere spin or turn in the atmosphere. And that's an update, isn't that, Evan?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's showing it looking a little bit healthier there, really right over Lackey, heading towards Gloucester Point. So again, if you're in Gloucester Point, I want you to go to your safe spot right now, an area away from any windows, lowest level of your home. Bring your phone with you. Turn up the TV so you can hear us if you're watching 13 News Now right now. And because as we go to the south of the Albemarle Sound, we're seeing the tail end, the southern tier of this line that's getting a little more active than what it was earlier. And the warnings on it are a severe thunderstorm warning. This is the area in the yellow watch box. Notice it is extensive. It goes all the way up to the borders of the Albemarle Sound, the southern shore there. But this is all traveling off towards the north. So that means it's going to be heading in this direction of the northeastern North Carolina zones within the next hour, particularly in the Currituck area, because it does have an easterly component to it. So it's going to be sliding into that area within the next hour. That is already starting to see that very heavy rain and likely some gusty winds through this region as well. So keep that in mind. In terms of lightning, yeah, there is lightning out there, obviously, with this, but not a ton. We're seeing most of it now to the south of the Albemarle, and that is associated, obviously, with the severe thunderstorm warning that's there. To the north of it, it's just heavy rain, but to the south of it, there's still plenty of lightning as you get out towards the Columbia area and Gum Neck. And again, that is all lifting off towards the north there. So we're going to be watching that over the next hour or two before the whole line generally gets enough of an eastward progression that we begin to see it push offshore. So that'll be some good news for us there. But the heaviest of the rain right along the immediate line that is now cleared Norfolk, no longer under that severe thunderstorm warning there, but to the east, out through Virginia Beach, we are still seeing that severe thunderstorm warning, and includes Chesapeake as well. We're seeing that heaviest rain that we just talked about over the Fentress area. And in fact, with some of those higher returns, a lot of times that can also give us an indication of where there's hail, because what's going on is the radar is picking up on the size of the droplets, and when it shows really, really heavy rain, that could actually mean it's just some hail. And look at that. Over that exact area, we are actually seeing some hail signatures there in terms of some of the hail sizes that could be on the order of up to 3/4 of an inch actually reaching the ground, but radar indicated. There's the latest update here. Again, over that area we were just watching, out towards Hickory and just south of Mount Pleasant, out towards the Fentress Airfield. There's an indicator there that there has been a little bit of some hail out towards, Land of Promise Road. Here's some numbers on this right now. About 0.8 of an inch of hail size. But again, whenever I put this up, I have to kind of put a disclaimer that this is coming from a radar indication. That's a radar beam coming out of Wakefield. So that's pretty far away. So this is higher up in the sky. So we have to account for melting there. So even cutting it in half, you're close to about a 1/2 inch size hail diameter in that particular area. But that's just an indication there that the radar itself was picking up on some of the hail, which has probably moved off towards the north, that hail core right over Mount Pleasant Road 165 and north there, that was just over this area. So just shows you that these tools do work, and they are very, very helpful when we use them here on air to show you exactly what's going on. So here's good Thursday morning. We're now on hourly updates from the National Hurricane Center. The latest track update, though, just came down at 11 o'clock. Let's talk about it now. Still a Category 2. A little bit of some weakening still occurring with Florence here, down to a 105-mile-per-hour Category 2 storm with gusts up to 125. No major changes here in the track from here on out. It moves inland near Wilmington, North Carolina, and then tracks westwards before gradually weakening over the next several days, dropping a whole lot of rain. Here's how it looks on satellite imagery. Very healthy looking, but again, wrapped in a little bit of some dry air, and encountered some wind shear last night that led to that weakening, but the wind field is quite large. Here's how it looks on radar, getting picked up by the Morehead City radar station there. You can see some really well-defined banding. The eye about 140 miles to the east-southeast of Wilmington, North Carolina right now. I get a close-up image here and put it into motion. A lot of the heavier bands now moving up and over Hatteras, and you see that purple watch box there. That is a tornado watch that has been issued. This is typical for tropical systems. They introduce spin to the atmosphere, so it's a little bit easier to spin up a little brief tornado. In fact, there we go. As we're on air, a tornado warning has just popped up for a waterspout likely developing over this area here. Literally just happened right now. Up until 11:15 this morning, I should say, and that's for Hyde County, and that will likely be moving onshore there as either a weak waterspout or a brief tornado. Typically in this type of setup, they're also quite weak, so that's some good news there. It won't likely last too long, but that is literally happening as we are on the air right now. Here's the aerial threat here. So we're seeing these kind of pop up. It wasn't unexpected because guess what? This tornado watch box was put out at 7 o'clock yesterday morning. This general area was known to be an expected hot spot with the location of where the center of Florence is right now. So we're seeing these bands moving up and over, and that's already initiating some spin in the atmosphere. You know, the hurricane is a large circulation, so we're seeing little spin-ups on the periphery of the main circulation, which is the center of Florence. So we have some of these spinning on up. A lot of them have developed over, we saw one over the Albemarle Sound south of Edenton that has now moved over land and has actually survived, so there's plenty of energy here for it to maintain itself. Another one here that's in effect for over an hour. And off towards the north, we're actually seeing even more develop outside of the watched area. This is going to be in Virginia Beach now, in northern parts of Camden and Currituck in North Carolina. And this is up until 11:15 this morning, so about another 15 minutes or so. And we saw this one, as we get a better look at it and zoom in a little bit closer, was a probably a waterspout that developed just off of Currituck and then moved inland, moved pretty much directly over Knott's Island, and is now straddling the state line, moving almost due west at 30 miles per hour. So a very good clip. That initial forward motion of 30 miles per hour is already adding some pretty gusty winds to it, and it's covering a lot of ground. It's now moved off just to the west of the Moyock area. We'll move a little bit farther down here to give you who's kind of downrange of this system as it moves on a little bit quicker. It's traversing much of southern Chesapeake rather quickly. Here is the city line into Suffolk. Great Dismal Swamp right here. I know it gets covered up a little bit while after this radar imagery goes over it, but we'd be looking at Franklin Junction. If it survives long enough, potentially Suffolk could be under the gun here too if it does make it over the Great Dismal Swamp. So again, there already is plenty of that spin in the atmosphere here, watching it move on through. In fact, let's get a check on those velocities. Crystal just pulled them up earlier for the tornado warned cell that's off to the south. We're not seeing those signatures of reds and greens right next to each other, which what that is the wind moving in different directions. Okay, the green is going to be heading towards the radar site out in Wakefield, the red heading away. So when you get them close together, that initiates, two going backwards and moving some rotation, okay? Not really seeing that. We're tracking our first winter storm of the season that's heading towards Hampton Roads as we speak. It's developed nicely off the southeast coastline. Clouds moving up out ahead of it from the south, lifting northwards, and also our temperatures for the first time since Saturday are actually above freezing. There's that storm system we're going to be watching. You see the clouds really starting to bubble up off the coastline here of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. That's that coastal low that'll rapidly develop and intensify over the next 24 hours. In anticipation of this storm, we have winter storm watches, warnings all the way from the northern part of Maine south into Florida, the entire eastern seaboard. On top of that, we were just issued this morning blizzard warnings. You see that in the orange shading here. Northampton on the eastern shore of Virginia, Poquoson, Hampton, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Camden, and Currituck all under that. Now, that doesn't change the snow totals. In fact, that has nothing to do with how much snow we're going to see. It's the combination of the snow, the wind, and the visibility is dropping below a quarter mile for 3 hours or more. You can have a blizzard with just 2 inches of snow. On the contrary, with 2 feet of snow, you might not have a blizzard. You just need that wind. That's the all-determining factor there. Temperatures this morning, bone-chilling cold, ground frozen solid. Despite our temperatures recovering nicely out there, we're up above freezing in a lot of spots. It's not enough to thaw the ground out. So that leads me to my next thing that we're going to go through is the timing of this precipitation. It's going to arrive at a point where our temperatures are just a little bit above freezing at that point. So we'll likely start as some wintry mix and even some rain farther to the south and east in there. Frozen ground, liquid precipitation. They come in contact, you're going to have a sheet of ice under a lot of that snow that happens later on this evening because everybody changes over to snow as the storm intensifies off the coast of Virginia and North Carolina. It brings in colder air aloft, meaning it shuts down the wintry mix, changes it all to snow, which will be heavy at times, and it will accumulate fast. We're talking 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates per hour possible by later on this evening, especially the closer you get to the coastline. Come tomorrow morning, between 8 and 10 in the morning, we start to see the snow taper off from west to east. We are still going to have the winds to deal with. Wind chill values in the teens, blowing snow, reducing visibilities. Skies will clear out, and then the second phase of the storm, the bitter cold, begins to build on in. So how much snow are we talking about? 6 to 10 inches in the purple here. Outside of that, 3 to 6. And accounting for that wintry mix a little bit longer and some sleet, we're talking 3 to 6 down towards the Albemarle Sound, Elizabeth City area from there. But we could see some pretty significant totals in that purple. Locally, maybe a foot coming out of this by the time things wrap up.
And then the man of the hour, Tim Pandages. What an event.
Yeah, seriously, guys, we can call this now a blizzard because we have had winds sustained of 35 miles per hour. We've had reduced visibility, and it's happened for over 3 hours. So all those blizzard warnings have verified. You know, it's really getting serious for those spots that lost power. There's about, what, 20,000 now in the dark? 25,000 people in the dark that lost the power thanks to the strong winds. So we are streaming this right now live on our website and on Facebook. So if you can't join us on TV, there are several other avenues that you can do so. So that's some good news there to stay up to date on what's happening here. We have several more hours of moderate to heavy snow to go as the storm itself still strengthening. It's just off the coast of Hatteras, North Carolina, and it will be traveling off to the north. I mean, you just have to step back sometimes and admire the beauty of Mother Nature. Look at how textbook this nor'easter is, that classic comma head as it pulls off to the north and east, bringing a lot of moisture up and over Hampton Roads and through much of the mid-Atlantic. Winter storm warnings are up in all of the areas in pink, close to the coastline where you get the stronger winds. That's going to pick up that snow and reduce visibilities, which is why we have that blizzard warning out there that has verified in a lot of spots. 46 right now, well, the air temperature, the wind gust in Melfa, 35 in Currituck, nearly 40 out in Norfolk, 51 in Elizabeth City, Virginia Beach reporting a gust of 54 and over 60 miles per hour, that wind blowing down to Duck. So